Did I waste $7,000 on a drone? Should you do it too? Find out on this review of the DJI Mavic Pro Cine 3. Hey everyone, Tanner from Valley Films here. Today I'm going to give you a quick review of the DJI Mavic Pro Cine 3. That is a mouthful. There's so many words, I don't even know. I'm going to be giving you a breakdown on what kind of features this drone has, how good they are, and if it's worth the price tag. Before we start, let me know in the comments below what drone you're currently rocking and what your favorite features are. I know mine is definitely the 1 terabyte of internal storage. I don't think I've had to clear that since I bought it. I bought this drone before being hired to pilot 2 mining projects in summer of 2023. It was like my big excuse of why I should splurge $7,000 on a drone. And I've been using it on projects almost on my day-to-day since then. Quick little story, when I first went to buy this drone, I went in person to a local camera store to pick up the DJI Mavic Cine 3. Not the Pro Cine 3, just the Cine 3, the one with the 2 lenses. Weirdly, these 2 different drones, 2 lenses, 3 lenses, they were priced the same, even though one of the features was a triple camera and then the other one, 2 camera setup. When I arrived to pick up the drone, I go up, I'm like, hey, manager, because I know everyone by name there. I'm like, hey, can I get the drone? He's like, yeah, sure. Pay for it. I basically ran back to my car because I was so excited to open this thing up. And I got to my car, I have the chargers ready, and I'm like, okay, cool, whip open the box. And it was full of rocks and microfiber cloths. Hopefully I can find the picture. Here it is. Not a drone in sight. Luckily, I know everyone by name there, and I'm a loyal customer to the store that sold the drone to me, and so I just walked back in and I explained how I opened it just to not find a drone. I was kind of devastated. I was like, oh gosh. No drone for me, so I didn't get to take it on one of the 2 projects anyways. Turns out someone had swapped the drone in the warehouse and then resealed it, and they did a really good job because the manager handed me the box and then I took the box and we both went, wow, this is kind of heavy, but it's a big drone, whatever. They gave me a full refund and then they put the proper drone on order. But like I said, I got the proper 3 camera edition, but it didn't make it in time for the first project in Ontario. I did get to take it to Alaska with me, so there's gonna be a ton of footage from Alaska in this video, hopefully, if I remember to send it to CK. This drone is a deeply technical piece of equipment and it comes with a lot of quirks. The Mavic 3 Pro Cine features a triple camera setup developed in collaboration with Hasselblad. The main camera is a 4/3 inch sensor made by Hasselblad. It's basically a 20 megapixel, 24 millimeter equivalent. Cool thing about this drone is it has a variable aperture from 2.8 to f11. I know a lot of the drones I've used before this don't have that variable aperture, so controlling exposure is a lot easier on this. It has a dynamic range of 12.8 stops, which is basically 13, and in photo and video, the ISO ranges between 100 and 6400, which for a smaller sensor is about a little smaller than crop frame. That's fine, you don't want to be shooting at 6400 anyway. One of the biggest things I wanted about this was the fact that it shoots Apple ProRes 422. That's a Cine model only, but it's a feature there if you're on higher productions. For video codecs, it shoots all 3 cameras shoot an Apple ProRes 422 HQ, 422 LT, and that's a feature on the Cine model only. I personally don't shoot on Apple ProRes too much, but I know sometimes I work with directors and I'm not the main director on this shoot, and so they might want an uncompressed format like that so they can work it in post, whatever. The wide camera has a bunch of different resolutions. It can do 5.1K up to 50 FPS. So that's 24, 25, and 50 FPS, 30 FPS if that's your jam. It does DCI 4K at 120, 150, and 24 FPS, which is dope. I guess in not like Europe and Canada, we have 120, 60, and 30, and 24. That's good enough for me. And then it has regular 4K, again, 120, 60, 30, 25, and 1080 up to 240 FPS, which is freaking dope. I don't shoot a lot of slow-mo on this, but I shoot almost everything in 4K 60 just because it's more smooth, it's a drone. I don't know, it's just what I do personally. I shoot almost everything in 4K 60 unless I want that motion blur, which I can add in post. I'm good enough to do that. For the medium tele camera, it is a 70 millimeter lens. Is 1/1/3 CMOS and it's 48 megapixels, which is kind of crazy that they added more megapixels to a smaller sensor. Kind of beats me, whatever. It is a f2.8 non-variable aperture, so you kind of just are stuck with 2.8, which is fine. It's really cool having a 70mm on a drone. This is like one of the first drones that offered that as a feature. And so a lot of people were stoked to get their hands on this, to have that unique looking footage at this price point. For photo and video, ISO ranges from 100 to 6400, and it does 4K, 60, 30, and 24 frames. So it's kind of a nice, you know, you want an extra shot, you want a little parallax in your shot, you want something a little bit more action. That 70mm is going to do you very well. Moving on to the telephoto camera. It is a 1/2-inch CMOS sensor. It's a 12 megapixel, 166mm equivalent 3.4 lens. So we have 2.8, 2.8, 3.4. It's right there. It's less than a stop away. It's fine. I like the lens. I barely use it. I like looking at things very far away. Nothing too crazy there. It has an ISO range from 100 to 3200 in both photo and video. And it can do 60, 24, 30, does your regular frame rates that you'd expect on this camera. Moving on to storage and codec support, I kind of mentioned it shoots in ProRes 422. One of the biggest features that drew me towards the Pro Cine line was the internal storage, that 1 terabyte internal SSD. A couple things about it. It's fast, man. It is faster than SD cards. I plug it in and boom, 12 gigabytes of shooting, just gone straight there. If you don't want to shoot internal and plug your drone into the camera every single time, you can throw an SD card in there. It's not as fast. You're going to lose some of the support for codecs. If you don't want to shoot an Apple ProRes 422, luckily you have the option to shoot an H.264, H.265, and you can shoot that to the SD card and the SSD. I know you can only shoot 422 to that internal SSD. So that's like a little caveat. Micro SD cards aren't that good anyway, and I'd rather have it on the internal SSD and just pull it from there because it just is so much nicer. The only gripe with that is when I go to plug in my drone to transfer the footage, I have to plug it in a battery, I have to turn it on, and it just kind of sits there on the desk fanning itself while I'm transferring files. So small gripe. Moving on to the flight performance, the max flight time with no wind is about 43 minutes. How fast is this thing? It's pretty freaking fast. I'll get CK to throw up the conversions here in the editing. It goes to up to 21 meters a second in sport mode, which I think is around like 75 kilometers. So that's pretty freaking fast. It has max ascent speed of 8 meters a second, max descent speed of 6.5 meters a second. Has a wind resistance of 12 meters a second. So I think you can blow up to like 40 kilometers of wind and it will like stay stable and you won't have any issues. One of the big contributing factors to that 28-kilometer range, which again, I never recommend you do that because that's how you lose drones, is the new O3. It's not new, there's newer systems now, but O3 was brand new when they came out with it. And you can get a live view of 1080p 60 FPS to the DJI RC Pro. That is another big thing about buying this drone that I'm not sure I can go back to if I switch drones again, is the RC Pro. This thing is freaking beautiful. It has a super bright screen, super intuitive controls, and it caches all of the footage that I shoot on this straight to this. So if I'm done shooting, drone's put away, I can just pull out the tablet and I can review the footage with the client, show them the shots I got, get them stoked for the projects that we're putting together. One of the key selling points of DJI as a whole is their intelligent active track. This drone features active track 5.0, and it can detect cars, people, buildings, boats. I've had it track all of those things and do it well, and it's pretty quick too. I've had people whip by in cars and the camera just pans with it, like nice and smooth. This drone also features waypoint and automated flight creation, which is a big deal if you want to create those seamless like day to night shots, or like this one guy, I think his name is Joel, did like before the snowfall, after the snowfall, and he did this super smooth like transition with that using waypoints. He did it on a Mavic Mini, I think, and he did it really well. And of course, this drone features quick shots. Those are kind of gimmicky things that are like very consumer based and not really professional user features that we use. It looks cool to maybe if we're shooting a wedding, we'll throw on like, hey, do a droney, and then it'll edit the video in camera, in drone, I guess, and it'll send it over to our phones right away. So we can kind of get some footage to be like, oh, hey, here's a quick first look at this video we're doing for you guys. Little aside here. I took this on a hike and I turned on active track and follow mode and it just followed me for like 30 minutes. I was on a hike. We did Hunter's Trail here in Mission and it just followed me for 30 minutes. Obstacle avoidance just stayed behind me. It's got pretty good obstacle detection, so it can fly backwards and obstacles detect the ground and it moves up. It was just so cool. Like I just put the drone up, I was holding the controller, but I was just hiking and I was just like watching it go. Speaking of obstacle avoidance, omnidirectional obstacle sensing. It has 8 vision sensors, and one of the cool updates they added to this after I bought it was you can actually toggle the view between each of the sensors. So they're cameras. They have smaller cameras to obstacle detect, and you can use that for flying. So it's really trippy. I can go in and I can access all 8 cameras and see which direction things are. The big thing is they're not stabilized. So if the drone flies at an angle like this, your camera's now tilted to the ground. And that trips me up. It makes me so anxious watching those cameras while I'm flying because I feel like the drone is falling off to the side. Also, those cameras only transmit in about 15 frames a second, so it's super jumpy. I have used it. I do like the feature. I just am not used to it yet. It's so freaky, man. It's so freaky. On top of the vision sensors, it also has advanced pilot assistance system. I don't know what that means. It has a really cool kind of like augmented reality return to home feature. So it'll show you the path of your drone virtually as you're returning to home. And it'll show where the drone's gonna land on the ground and it'll give you a fake shadow. So landing's really easy with this and not crashing is great. I talked a little bit about this already. The remote control is the DJI RC Pro. It's included with the Cine package. It's optional with other packages. It features a 5.5-inch 1080p touchscreen with 1000 nits of brightness, which is freaking bright. It's brighter than, like, I think that's 800 nits. I think my other monitors are about 750 nits. So this is the brightest monitor that I have. Like I said earlier, it has O3 transmission support and it's just great. It keeps a cache and it runs on Android. So I'm pretty sure you can like download some emulators. I'm 100% gonna try and download like a Pokemon emulator on that and play like Pokemon Fire Red on that when we're on the job because sometimes you're not working. In terms of batteries, the Pro Cine Combo, there's so much, man. 3 batteries, they each last about 30 minutes, 35 minutes, which is a shit ton of flight time. And they come with this cool charging dock. I know earlier versions of the charging dock, like on the Air 2S, they had this weird like clip-on, like push-down thingy, and they just hung in there really loosely. I like this. I like the way that this is laid out. It has USB-C, so you can charge all 3 of these at once. And I do believe, I don't know, maybe it wasn't these ones, but I know there are some drones you can charge directly with USB-C. Anyways, you can charge all 3 of these at once. The charger it comes with is like a 45-watt charger, so it's freaking, oh, it says 65, haha. 65, this is why I have notes, guys. 65-watt charger. I can charge all 3 of these batteries in like 30 minutes. So while I'm burning through one battery, the other 2 batteries can be fully charged if we have the right amount of power on site for it. I've never burnt through all 3 batteries in a day. Over a multi-day project, maybe, but there's never been a time where I haven't been able to just go plug in and charge these. I'm very good at being on top of my battery. All these features sound freaking awesome on paper, and they are. They come with a few massive caveats, however. If you plan to shoot in 4.5K resolution or shooting in any of the flavors of ProRes, kiss your subject tracking goodbye. That's right, there is no subject tracking in ProRes or 5K. That sucks. For some people, not for me. Another big issue I have is the 24mm camera being the only one that supports the amazing D-Log profile. This is such a massive deal to any production team who's planning on blending shots between the 3 cameras in post because the 70mm and the 160mm cameras both shoot in D-Log M, and it's a stark difference between the professional D-Log profile. I can match the D-Log profile with my A7S III perfectly. They're basically the same profile, but D-Log M is not it. The 2 telephoto lenses not sharing a D-Log color profile is a pain in the ass, and I often find myself trying to not use the 2 lenses because of how hard it is to jump between 24mm, and then anything telephoto. Another big issue I've had was the HDMI not working out on my RC Pro controller. I don't know if this is a me only issue, but it's hard to work on a professional team and have everyone crowd around you and look at your operator's screen when you can be outputting to a director's monitor or a video village. I had someone comment on this to me. They said, Tanner, does this not work? And I said, it should work. And they literally updated everything. They did all of everything they could to try and get it to work. And I think it's just fried. So unfortunate. Don't know what's gonna cost to fix it. I'm not gonna go deal with that. If I could go back and repurchase a drone, I would probably stick with the Mavic 3 Classic, Classic Cine Edition with the internal SSD. To your day-to-day filmmaker, if you're not required to film in ProRes 422, which like realistically who is, there are too many workarounds for you to enjoy every feature on this drone. The other two lenses have ended up feeling gimmicky and underutilized in my kit, and the next step up to fix that issue would be the $30,000 kitted out Inspire 3. I can't lie though, I do love owning this drone. Knowing that it is capable of almost any and every situation I need is reassuring, but not being able to make use of all the features leaves me feeling a little resentment towards the purchase. Ultimately, I won't be letting go of this drone anytime soon, and the features I would need to see in a different drone to consider upgrading are far above anything else in the market with a similar price range. I constantly dream of owning an Inspire 3 one day, but that day isn't close and my clientele don't require that type of drone. If anything, I will be purchasing a drone from the mini series, as my clients now are monthly social packages that require vertical filmmaking, so keep your eyes out for that purchase. Make sure you subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.